Hello everyone, it's NLawson with CDC Take Charge Software, and this is lesson 4 on writing xBasic code in Alpha software. Today we're going to be looking at our review message form. So let's take a look at how it works so we can familiarize ourselves with it. We have to log in, and we're logging in as Ricky. Click OK, and we want to see your messages. So there they are. These are Ricky's messages. And it tells us that the current filter is today's messages, and it's ordered by earliest to latest. Now, down here we have two buttons, earliest and then latest. If I select latest, it changes the order and sets it up here. But it leaves the filter as today's messages. If I want to change the filter, I come over here and I select last 7 days. Then I go ahead and run it. Pick the message I want to see, and there it is. So here we control the current filter. Here we control the order, ascending or descending. Down here in the center is stuff that we'll get over how all this is done, and the bolds and normals are called out and set. We'll talk about that later. And we'll also talk about these three values down here, which are calculated fields, at another lesson. Okay, let's look at how we're doing these things here. So we need to exit, log out, and go to our control panel. The original form was called review space messages. The new form that I wrote, because of the changes, I took out the space so that we could show both processes. So here's the new one, and now let me open up another one next to it, which is the original. Alright, now you'll notice that basically everything at the top and the middle is the same all the way down the message. Down here, originally it had a multi-state button, which was called multi-state button 2, which was your earliest and latest, and then multi-state button 1 was controlled the different filter orders on their form. Ours, I've created each of these as separate buttons, and this is a combo list with an action button that performs the action based on the choice selected by the user. So let's look at the code and how that's written. First, on the earliest to latest, a multi-state button, you write the code on the onChange event in most cases. So here, and then this was an action script, I converted it to xBasic so we could see it. They set 4 variables. 3 are logical, 1 is character. Then they set those values to false, and they set the character value to equal the text that's on the multi-state button. Then they use a select statement to take and say that if display order result equals 1, then they set it to true and they pass that value to the local script. Otherwise, they set 2 to true and they pass that value to the local script. Now let's take a look at that script that they're calling out. So we go to scripts and functions, and we want change message display order. And here it is. Basically what they're doing here is they're setting the form to display the data ascending or descending. So if they're passing a value of 1, then they set the order in ascending order. If it's not 1, then it means it's 2, and they invert it and they put it in descending order. That's it. Then they run the query and they refresh the form. Pretty straightforward. On ours, we do the same thing, except we call it out by button. So an onButtons event is going to be an onPush in most cases. Here, basically all the stuff they had written, I dimmed it out because I just left it there so you could see it. And then here, all I have to do is take and manually set the display message order to 1, and then call a local script, and it does exactly what it did on theirs. Or if I want it to be in descending order, then I set that value, display message order, to 2. And the same thing, it works the same as it did on the other one. Let's look at the other multi-state button with the 4 values. This one is a little more complicated and it does a lot more. First, it sets 6 local variables, 1 character, and 5 logical. Sets them all to false, and then based on the user selection, sets one of them to true. That's pretty much all that's going on there. And then it runs the local script pop message summary dialog. So let's look at that. And this is a big script. You'll be able to take and see greater details on what's being done here if you go to our blog page and look at it there. So I have to be kind of quick here. Basically what happens is once the variables are pulled that are on the form, based on the user selection, one of these 4 things happens, which is a different type of message views. Then that user selection is passed to an X dialog box which presents that choice in a tree view on the form. And they make the selection and there you go, that's it. Now ours works basically the same way, except one, we have to set some values on the onChange event for the variable. And here we are. We set the text box for our message and the display message filter to 1 through 4. Then on our action button, we go ahead and set out our variables, and then same thing, we take and pass it to the local script pop message, and then everything runs exactly the same. Again, greater details can be seen if you go to our actual blog, and you'll be able to see it in details if you're not sure exactly what we did there. But we're running out of time, so I hope you found this lesson helpful, and I encourage you to look at the blog so you can see exactly how that was done, because there is a lot of data. Thank you very much and have a great day.